I just didn't expect that stick in the way.
Yeah, that metal stick.
Just another stick in the mud.
That's okay, bud. Buckets are useful here.
When we were designing crafting and talking about what should it look like, we basically started at...
I know Jack Black is American, but that was a very Canadian bud that he just dropped.
Yeah.
I wonder if Steve is like a Canadian...
I mean, he's a lumberjack
character.
He's got a lot of lumberjack.
That was built into the real-world crafting table. So we got this hammer, and we figured we honored the 3x3 grid perfectly, and thought it would be cool and kind of fun and gratifying to just give it a massive whack and then have things appear. Remember when we were trying to...
Kind of like the clank sound you get out of the smithing table or the anvil, you know?
It's a block, it's like this big. And there we actually found out that going 1 meter by 1 meter, which is like, 3 feet by 3 feet, is actually too big. So we scaled it down, and the scale's like
60% size
cubed, which is 2 feet by 2 feet by 2 feet. And then in the background, and maybe
if you apply that to our Minecraft world, it turns out we're all canonically 4 feet tall. That'll be a twist.
Hobbits are cool.
Yeah, sure.
What you
I mean, plenty of people roleplay as dwarves in this game, so
for human scale, for different characters that are manipulating the environment and the world and throwing blocks and make it be practical for that, but still feel natural and organic to what people experience in the game and feel authentic.
This is better than the trailer.
yeah, absolutely. Like being able to actually see some of the intent behind it instead of just the teaser stuff, and
everything that's
like I think this is way more compelling.
Point of view.
Yeah, teaser. You're right. I should clarify the teaser. There's not been a full trailer yet.
Yeah. This is like a DVD featurette from back in the day. I feel like they don't make stuff like this too much anymore. And the bee is still very cute.
The filmmakers are still
Was there a bee in the teaser? I don't remember the bee in the teaser.
I don't think so, but
collaborating closely.
Cute as the one in game, I mean.
Yeah, right. I should clarify the teaser. There's not been a full trailer yet.
Yeah. This is like a DVD featurette from back in the day. I feel like they don't make stuff like this too much anymore. And the bee is still very cute.
The filmmakers are still
Was there a bee in the teaser? I don't remember the bee in the teaser.
I don't think so, but
collaborating closely.
Cute as the one in game, I mean.
As well as listening to the community to continue to shape and craft a film in a way that's fresh and new.
Yeah, a lot of people in chat seem to be appreciating the way that they presented this as opposed to the teaser trailer.
Great presentation from Boo Booey too.
Yeah.
Cute.
Do you want to adventure through Minecraft biomes in real life? You may have your chance with Minecraft Experience Villager Rescue, our first real-world immersive experience where you'll get to journey through a Minecraft adventure in real life. Let's take a behind-the-scenes look before it debuts in Dallas this October and spawning in cities near you in the future.
Olivier, prise 2. Premise of Minecraft Experience. First thing is authenticity. Our goal is to make sure that it is truly authentic for all of you folks. The second thing is defining a new lens from which you can interact with the game, with the IP, with the brand.
This is the story of a village attacked by zombies, and it's your quest to go out and save them.
So kind of like Minecraft Escape Room, almost?
Projection walls that we can interact with throughout, which allows us to do things like find
using
out
like
mobs,
spatial recognition, probably.
collect those resources.
This feels like going back to how you interact with Minecraft Earth, like on the AR app, but like doing it in person.
Like to be in Minecraft.
It reminds me of like those virtual golf
then we'll see where we
places
go.
that you can go to.
Yeah.
Tell us where you want to see the Minecraft experience.
And now it's time to reveal our completely new drop, releasing in a few months.
A few months,
the
okay.
team has been really
December, maybe?
excited about the idea of
December,
adding
maybe
a new
January
biome.
at the
And
outside.
we created one with its own unique mood and identity.
Oh, this looks spooky. It sounds spooky too.
During daytime, it's quiet, like almost serene in the new Hale Garden. While you
Some
might
creepy
feel
vines.
calm walking around
like the wood texture.
in this forest,
Yeah, that looks
there's
like some of
also
the wood textures we've had in the mod pack I've been playing.
something
Gray wood, maybe?
isn't quite right. Then,
how great would that
when
be?
darkness falls, you indeed feel another side of this place.
Different grass
the
blocks
hanging
too.
moss shifts
Really
from being
dark.
pretty to really spooky, and you realize that you're not alone.
Definitely has different
There's
vibes at night.
something lurking in the shadows.
So everything about this biome feels unfamiliar, and this is by design. We want you to feel a bit curious and scared.
Yeah, the
like,
wood
what
looks
is
great.
this place? Why is it so different from everything
Awesome.
else? What we needed for the biome is to have like a low visibility, and we've created the pale hanging moss for this. And this
Kind of like a dark oak
how
roof
much you can
forest
see,
kind of
how
vibe.
far you can see, but you can still walk through it. So you're traversing through the forest, and you're like trying to find everything, but you don't know what
Hanging
will be
moss
behind
blocks looks like
the
too.
hanging moss.
Yeah, it gives you kind of a strange feeling when you enter. It's unnaturally quiet and a feeling of something weird's going on here.
It's so strange with everything feeling kind of grayscale. It's like you've walked into the past in the overworld.
I really like the ambiance of the new biome. It invokes really those eerie and spooky feelings.
Yes, eerie indeed. And turns out there actually
I've got a
is
feeling that
something
Agnes likes
lurking
Halloween.
in the shadows. The creaking.
That was wild.
Oh, okay. So like surface
It's our first
warden,
true-light
almost.
creature, and it's almost like it's
Camouflaged,
in
yes.
the garden. And when it's dark at night, it's kind of hard to see it except those like elusive eyes.
Yeah, and it also interacts with those trees, which is super fun.
Yeah, there's a special new block that it has a connection to.
When you approach the creaking, you can actually realize that it doesn't take any damage, and when you try to hit it, it points you somewhere in the canopies. That's where basically the creaking heart is, and that's what controls.
Oh, that's wild. Like, that's so
One of the
different.
main themes
Really
of
different.
the Pale Garden and its inhabitants is that there's a lot of contrast from the rest of the world. So when we made the creaking, we also wanted it to feel unfamiliar,
Really crooked
and different from other mobs.
Yeah.
Which is why we made it more asymmetric to really.
I assume it's
go with this
static like
point
that
of,
for a lot
being
of
different from
just
everything else.
demonstration purposes, though, because it seems to be
The creaking doesn't
just
exist
kind of
on its
lurching
own.
around the rest of the
It's
time.
more
But
like a
It stops
puppet
moving when you
of
look
the
at
new
it.
block.
yeah.
Part.
Was it
So the creaking
statues from
heart
Doctor
and
Who or something?
creaking
Is there something
puppet,
like that?
Like Weeping Angels or whatever, yeah.
New
Yeah.
combat, challenge or combat mechanic, both in the way that you need to destroy the heart block to actually kill the creaking, and also, of course, that the creaking only moves when you look away.
So don't blink.
I really like the sandboxiness of the creaking heart.
I wonder what you can do about that when it comes to
and then you can
taking them to other
anywhere you want.
biomes if you want to just have them somewhere else for like
So
ambient
if you
noise.
want to be as evil as the creaking heart itself, you can place it and make your friends really.
Nice. Okay, so you can silk touch the block and then it spawns them somewhere else. That's
To embrace
really interesting being able to
quiet
control a spawning zone for it.
added ambient sounds for this biome that only plays during the night.
I think they're just adding
Comes
stuff that
from
Tango
the
could
box
use
that
in
surrounds
Decked
you.
Out now. I think that's
That will make an even more creepier experience for the player. And to do that, you need to play with the silence and the contrast of the silence and the sounds. So to make creaking, I gathered a lot of creaky stuff that will make creaky sounds. Obviously, the biggest thing would be to gather wood and twigs and stuff like that, dead leaves to get rustling and creaking. But I also recorded salty sticks, the Swedish snack. And one of the biggest part actually of the sound is my table creaking, dragging against the floor, and also a chair.
yeah, getting surrounded by them looks a little rough.
Like bones, maybe, when the mob is walking. So it's.
What do you mean by teeth?
This song is crazy.
Teeth is creepy.
Yeah, teeth don't have ambient sounds.
We want to make the biome very grey to give this very eerie feeling, right? And with this grey tones, a very fitting new wood set.
A white-colored
wood set. And this is something that players have wanted for a long time.
Yeah. effects, like white picket fence kind of vibes.
For the Halo wood set, especially that in a lot of places people paint their fences white for example, for a white picket fence, and that will be exciting for a lot of players to actually represent themselves.
And then we also have like the hanging moss, and you can bone wheel it, so it's renewable. So I think like just bringing it as well, and maybe put it in a greenhouse where things hang from the roof.
It's a little strange how desaturated it is, even though I know it's white
like
wood and
really
hanging moss, but it feels strange.
Yeah, and it's also really unique.
I feel like the footage they've showed is all at night,
all sides of the blocks.
Even in the demo, you can't see what it looks like in the daylight.
I like the kind of Skulk Vein-esque mechanic of it,
looked at all these
decorating the walls like that too.
A tree that stood out was like the willow tree, like because it's very hanging. There's a lot of like drapery, and it feels.
It's exactly like the tree my grandparents had in their garden.
Then we
had a massive willow like that.
Moss. This was like the inspiration for the pale hanging moss that we've used in the biome eventually, because this gives this like drapey feeling without being willow trees, and it was a little bit more versatile and flexible to use in the biome, and could also be used as like building blocks.
I wonder if the creaking heart spawns in one of these trees if you grow it from saplings. So as you're farming the tree, you could also collect them. Sort of like, like bee nests.
We want to create connections between species because the Minecraft world is an ecosystem, and we really want it to feel like that. And the creaking heart and its puppet creaking, it really has a new way of creating this kind of connection.
I thought it couldn't be creepier, and then she called it a puppet.
Feels very Stranger Things.
It's actually coming to Snapshot's previews and betas very soon, so soon you can all try it out.
Villager number 9 here! Sorry for interrupting again, but villager number 15 and I have just escaped from the spooky forest. And I'd just like to state, like I said earlier, that I was right. There is in fact a monster in the woods that looks like wood and sounds like wood. What? That's a lie. You didn't believe that at all. Many didn't believe me. But in my heroic foray into the spooky forest, I, villager number 9, single-handedly discovered the creature that I shall now name the Crunching. It's called a creaking. It literally just said its name. Maybe I should go into monster hunting. I'm clearly very good at
he's put it there to prank the other guy.
Yeah.
I can see a lot of people doing that. Just kind of leaving it somewhere in someone's house.
It looks like the tree with the heart in it might have like a
Stick around with us
texture.
for the first ever playthrough of the Pale Garden in our after show, starting in just a few moments. Our developers will take us on a deeper dive through the new game drop as we bravely explore this new biome together. These new game drops can be played in betas and snapshots soon and will release to everyone in the next few months.
How soon do you think?
We hope you're as excited as us about everything
Previously, they've
happening
tried to
in the world of
have
Minecraft.
releases around Christmas time and around June.
Today without
So that might be the target.
From all of us at
But I also think that they'll take the time to gather feedback, and while they'll have a rough target, I think there'll be a "it's ready when it's ready" vibe.
Yeah,
which I think is good.
But I think in terms of snapshots, possibly even like a couple of weeks from now. That's what I would assume.
Snapshots? Yeah. I feel like we'll see it after the bundles
We're
make
excited
it into
you're
the
joining
game.
us for the after show where we're going to deep dive into the next game drop with a bunch of people from the team, like this guy right here.
Yeah. So that was the entirety of Minecraft Live this year. So no mob vote, no not too much extra shenanigans. Even like the animated segment by Element Animations was relevant to what they were announcing, which I think is great. I think it's nice to have a more concise format for this, especially for folks like us who are like just get.
I think also the style of presentation. It's a lot more.
Make it it becomes
neutral.
Neutral,
I think. Yeah.
Compared to previous years where there was definitely stuff aimed at like really little kids that make a lot of the older players kind of roll their eyes. I think that I think they do themselves justice and great service by not speaking down to the player. You know, I think it's a solid move. It's much better in my opinion than previous years.
I think with how much they've been celebrating Minecraft's 15th anniversary this year, I feel like they've also just been announcing stuff throughout the year that might otherwise have been saved for a Minecraft Live. So I think that it allows them to be concise and kind of get to the point and not feel like, you know, people just, you know, not say wasting their time, but people are.
With the snapshot that came out this week, that they're no longer in the experimental features tab, they're actually in the proper snapshot. So I feel like October will probably see that roll into maybe another snapshot, possibly some release candidates and all that. And then I would anticipate bundles to come in like a smaller drop, similar to Armadillo and Wolf Armor.
Yeah, that seems to be what's happening. It's getting released around the same time they put out hardcore mode for Bedrock.
Unless Bundles of Bravery is included with this, like unless the creaking and the what was the name of the biome again?
Where is it?
The Pale Garden.
Unless the Pale Garden is the Bravery part of the bundles, so maybe bundles are farther away than we think.
No, I don't think it is. I'm fairly certain they said that the bundle and hardcore update would be out like pretty soon, and then this is coming in.
The Bravery.
That's the part of it, and so this is going to be its own gameplay drop, and it's like the next one. So those are two separate updates. No news on whether that's the Pale Garden is like a major update, like a 1.22 release or not, but I think they also have more news to announce at a future Minecraft Live about like major updates and stuff, because they're planning on doing these twice a year now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool how not only is it tree-like, but it also has these like the legs feel like the.
I wouldn't be surprised if the named updates are
it's actually rooted. You
like June, because those seem to be when they've always been.
He's like push, not kill. Just so we're all clear.
That makes sense for like, especially for kids having more time to play over summer breaks. Like it's usually a lot longer than they get around the winter end of the year. And having something to do in the meantime with these, and obviously people getting to build a ton of new stuff with the new wood types. I think that's kind of fun.
When you see the trees behind it, it just blends in. So
it feels like they took a lot of the, not like research, but concept art and ideas that they had for the Warden before it became the Warden. Remember when they showed those like art sheets of the different iterations of it, and they'd had the Stalker before that, where it was like a weird shape and it was asymmetrical, and they've taken that idea and reworked it into a mob like this. I think that's really fun.
I know they must be a lot of work, but those behind-the-scenes featurettes that they've been showcasing with like sound and some of the other design around the production design for the film, I would love to see a concept art / kind of development process for some of the stuff that they're putting into Minecraft, like the creaking, like the new biome. Like I think that would be really cool.
Yes, give us the art team behind the scenes featurette. Definitely.
I'll try to think of it next time I die.
And some folks in the chat are speculating if the Pale Garden would drop for Halloween. I don't think it's gonna be in like a full update, but we'll definitely have a playable version in snapshots and betas before Halloween, and that'll be great. Like they've said, it's going to be very soon, possibly in the next few weeks, and October's got 4 weeks for you to potentially get to try this thing out. So like keep an eye out for future releases. We cover them all on the Spawn Chunks podcast, so you can keep track even if you don't follow Minecraft.net or follow the devs on Twitter.
In the Pale Garden.
It's the Pale Garden.
I get that feedback a lot when people pop by my stream and say that they come from the Spawn Chunks and say like that's how they get their Minecraft news, and they can always follow up with the articles that we link on the show notes on the spawnchunks.com, or they can watch the video on YouTube and see the images of what we're talking about. Like if you don't want to go and read through the whole post, you and I pull out the important stuff, and then you edit in images and things that Mojang shares so that people can kind of get the whole thing in a quick, like 5 or 10 minute news segment on our show.
It's fun.
It seems like, to answer somebody's question in the chat, they asked if the new biome would spawn other hostile mobs than the creaking, and it seems like it did, because they just got blown up by a creeper halfway through this gameplay demonstration.
Okay, now it's not looking at
that. Would be really interesting if it didn't, though, because imagine something on the surface where you could just build free of mobs, except for the creaking.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like lighting the area up at least has some effect, but perhaps not on the creaking, since they aren't spawned by conventional mechanics.
Yeah.
you need to find a block that it's interacting with. So it was.
They may have covered some of this stuff already, by the way, but since Joel and I are kind of talking about this back and forth, sorry if we miss anything crucial, but there's a limit to how much I can concentrate on what they're doing whilst also recapping some of the stuff we've seen today.
It's cool to see so much game footage in Minecraft Live as well. I know this is the developer kind of like post-show, but like it's cool to have this and cool to be able to go back and watch it, you know, later before our show on Monday and just see it without like animation presentation. Like it's just them playing stuff that's happening.
It's less of the polish, more of the authentic player experience.
Yeah.
The creaking heart with you.
And I gotta say, this whole Pale Garden and the creaking is going to look wild with shaders on.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Like the glowing eyes in the distance.
I mean,
very cool.
Yeah, like emissive textures like that. I also like how different the creaking block is. I feel like almost I would want to build with that were it not for the fact that it brings a hostile mob threat with it.
Yeah.
But there's like a sap kind of feeling to it. It feels almost like waxy, kind of like when a hive like drips with honey after it fills up.
Yeah, it's got like an amber look to it. I wonder if that could be a way to keep it from spawning. Like, what if you waxed it like copper and then it wouldn't spawn?
Interesting, yeah.
That would be cool.
I've also seen a couple of people ask whether it's going to have drops, and the difficulty there is you don't seem to be able to kill it. Like they said, it doesn't take damage in conventional ways. It has to be despawned by you breaking the block. So the block is effectively what it drops, because the creaking is more like like they said, a puppet for this block, which is a difficult concept to communicate to players, but the lines of particles seem to be doing a good job of that.
Is the creaking the heart, or is the creaking the thing that's following you around, right? Like, which
Not completely unprotected.
Okay.
Or are they both, you know?
It's part of the same organism almost,
It caught up with you because
that's fun though.
Because not only are
it's
they
really different.
they also
Like points for like
originality.
Did not see this coming a mile away, you know?
Yeah, and this was part of the leak. That there was an article that went live on Minecraft.net a little bit early, so people knew the names of the creaking and Pale Garden, but they didn't know exactly what the mechanics were. So I think seeing this in action, it's very different to what I expected just having learned the names. I expected Pale Garden to be more like an open kind of meadow. I think garden sort of implies that, rather than it being a roofed forest kind of vibe. I wonder, actually, thinking about it, if because these are 2x2 tree stumps, I assume you'd need, like with a dark oak sapling, you'd need a 2x2 of those in order to grow the tree. So I assume that's the case with these new trees in the biome as well.
Are they 2x2? I thought they were just single trees.
They seem like they were 2x2s. The whole thing reminds me of a reskin of a roofed forest.
Yes, sir.
So they look very much like they're modelled on dark oak trees.
Within the team, we do almost daily, like just loading it on someone's computer and going over there and testing.
That's awesome. Well, I mean, that's the dream, right?
Yeah, it'll be really cool to see
every day.
all the different things that come with that. Like, what does the trapdoor look like for white oak?
Yeah.
So you've seen
pale
it.
oak? Pale oak, I think is what they called it.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, they got doors, trapdoors.
Can I have the
fence is the same.
Like a lot of that stuff has the same texture across all the wood types, but the trapdoor and door is where things get unique. You also presume there's going to be buttons and pressure plates and everything, so anything that comes with a full wood type, probably a boat as well.
How many different teams have to work on it with art and sound and design and gameplay. It really came together so nicely.
Yeah, it's interesting to see people's reactions to this in chat. Some folks are saying it looks cool but a little underwhelming overall. There's some folks saying that they're really looking forward to building with the wood type, and if anything, like anytime they add a wood type, it feels like an update for builders, because suddenly there's new palette for us to work with, there's new textures for existing materials, effectively in the case of the white wood. Look at this. Like,
here's some examples.
It goes so well with the cherry leaves, and that's something that I hadn't kind of caught originally, but yeah, they've got the new moss block that's in there as well. I haven't caught what that's called, so if anybody has noticed, put that in the chat.
So many different
the kind of new grey grass color that seems to be like a grass texture on all six sides.
I think it's called hanging moss, so it could be called hanging moss blocks. I don't know.
I just wonder if it's like, it's not hanging at the point where you put it in the ground, so I wondered if it had a different name.
More
pale moss, maybe?
Things you can do, right?
And that could also would still be. Oh wow, okay, yeah, those look fun. Solid trapdoors as well, not something that has a transparency in it.
Anna, you told me you thought it
good for like window shutters, suburban homes.
I've seen the door. Yeah. Oh, there it is. Door's got like a wrought iron work on it. Cool.
For my
Oh, kind of like the spruce door, even. Like that's kind of nice.
I really like.
Yeah, I don't mind that. That's nice.
Yeah.
Beautiful details.
All subject to change too. You know, like if they decide that it's not quite, you know, what players are wanting, and I really like the stripped wood. It looks like it goes very well with quartz.
Yeah, an interesting note here as well. They seem to have grown the pale trees in a biome that's not the pale garden, and the tree leaf color changes. So it's a biome-specific color. So you could assume that, like, if you grow an oak tree there, if you grow jungle leaves there, it's going to match the biome color.
Right.
And it's super easy to use. You just
which could be good or bad depending on how close you are to a pale garden, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, imagine overhauling the pale garden with regular moss, but then having a a set of leaves that felt like a different color. You could do so much with like the different biome colors and giving a different vibe to the stuff you build there in a custom environment.
Branches coming down.
Jens, you're going to show us a way, this was your idea, Marco, of how you might use the creakings to protect yourself and your village.
Yeah, what is the plural of creaking? She said creakings. I'm kind of curious to see if that's the one the community adopts.
To protect their own base.
Oh, there's the block.
Devices that activate and
does it glow only at night? Is that a thing, or is that...
It looks like it needs wood on top and bottom.
Wood above and below? But I mean, that texture on its own, as long as you like adhere with the...
To pale?
Yeah, like if you can use it to build elsewhere, so as long as you don't put wood on top and bottom of it, then that's
there you go.
A really cool texture for builders to use.
Yeah, there's your answer. That's awesome. Clever, too. And adds gameplay.
And it looks so 3D, even though that's a 2D texture because of the way they've shaded it. That's like really good job by the art team, I think.
Well, now it's night.
Yeah.
All right, we have a night. Yes.
Also, is it light emitting? I don't think it is, right?
Okay.
It looks emissive, but it isn't.
Let's see.
Yeah, no, it's... Or maybe it's like a level 1 light level or something, but...
Could be. I couldn't quite tell.
So
there's snow around it, so I...
made it.
So I had other plans than like using it for protection. I was thinking of more like... more scheming.
Pranking. I wonder how much work it would be to get a lot of them.
Okay,
yeah, probably. A decent nighttime and a lot of not looking at things. You've got to be turning around constantly. But then I don't know if you'd have a need for a lot of them, except if I guess you're making like a dungeon experience or something like that. But like farming these things is going to be redundant if they don't die and don't drop anything.
A configuration for what to.
Well, they die when you pick up the heart, but then they didn't seem to drop anything.
Yeah,
that could be also player feedback that they get over the snapshots, right? It's just like, look, this thing is great, but like, can we get more out of it, or use it in different ways?
If it left like sticks or something behind after it despawned or something, I don't know. No, sticks is a bit of a lame example, but I do wonder if. Yeah, if there's... Obviously, there's still room for player feedback throughout development. Like, they talked about how much players' suggestions shape the armadillo. So I wonder if maybe there is room for stuff like the creaking to still... Even though this seems like a fully fleshed out idea, there's still player feedback that can change how the mob interacts, how the trees are, maybe even some stuff about the design, although I don't think any builders would want to turn down the doors or trapdoors.
No, I think the idea here is that when they present something that's this well thought out, but you and I still have questions about what it could be used for or potential for it, I think that's a great way to present something like, look, this is the idea, this is how far we've got with it, we feel like it's just about ready, but now it's time to gather player feedback. And I think that was the same with the armadillo. It was real close, but they took some feedback and they made some changes. So I'm curious to see if, like, I think the creaking eyes are really prominent. I mean, if it dropped a creaking eye or something along those lines, I think that could be really interesting. Maybe something new to be crafted into something else. Just like the armadillo, if you could have whatever the creaking might drop and combine it with an older existing item in Minecraft that is either underused or is overlooked by a lot of players and bring that forward into Minecraft 2024, that could be good too.
Your grass.
I'm curious if folks from the technical community are going to be kind of underwhelmed by this, considering there are not many ways I can imagine, like off the top of my head, people using these. Like again, they can't be farmed. There's no like technical interaction aside from this block spawns mobs and it spawns them under certain conditions. But that sort of base level technical thinking would be, can I farm this for something? Whereas I've seen people do amazing stuff with
because you are actually
like mechanics that you wouldn't necessarily expect, and just like taking a really out of the box like thinking way of doing something with those mobs. Like, I mean, you just look at the way dungeon design works in stuff like Decked Out, where there's so many neat ways of using some of those mobs in an atmospheric way, in like a threat management kind of way. There might be ways that Redstone folks can think of using these, but maybe it's like a player detection thing. Maybe if like, you know, a creaking spawns, maybe it emits a certain, you know, skulk sensor vibration, or, you know, maybe there's something that can be done with the connection to this specific block that maybe technical folks can use. I'm really curious about that.
Okay. When you
a different way to detect nightfall, that's Wormbo has a good suggestion, like like using it like a daylight sensor or a night sensor.
I'd say like if it has the ability to change from being one state to another, then if an observer can see that, then you know that could be a way to
add the first one in.
To use